always hit beginning. As long as you have beginning break, the audio does it. Should. Oh. This is going to be a good one. This clearly is not working.
No, you're fine. Oh, you got the blue pen?
Put it under the sound.
I'll make you less cranky, okay?
That's your backup. That's your audio backup.
I'll try. Brian's gonna kill me? What's Brian gonna kill me? He's your bestie, right? Oh, well, okay, never mind.
With me on FaceTime. So I'm on FaceTime. Yeah. Whenever, we have 2 minutes.
Right. Your badge.
Oh my God.
It's in your, oh no.
I hate you.
I broke my wrist when I punched something.
Hate
That's against the law.
like you change everything.
I figured I'd stay out of jail and I punched the desk.
No.
And I cracked the bone right there.
That hurts though.
I mean, it's a nice new purse.
Hey, if I'd
I know.
And it's leather.
Okay, so you can see the extreme in that part right there. So only one of these two, I never get it right. I will win.
Good Lord.
Scene, that's the one.
Anything that I have to do.
There is a full minute delay between that and this. This is what we're doing right now.
Okay.
The signature later. We're live.
Right. Good evening, everyone. This is a regular legislative meeting of the Barberton City Council. Before starting tonight's meeting, please assure that your desk microphone is on and you are speaking directly into the microphone. Also, to those in the gallery, if you would like to speak, please step up to the podium and speak into the microphone. You have 5 minutes and no one can interact with you. Make sure that your cell phones are turned off or on silent. We will begin tonight's committee meeting with City Properties, Parks, and Recreation with Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will call City Properties, Parks, and Recreation to order. It is March 23rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. All of my committee members are present, and all other council members are present as well, and everyone else denoted on my sheet. For tonight, we do have some requested legislation. The first is a letter from Stacy Carr, Planning Director, requesting legislation to sell city-owned parcel 0107733 to Mr. David Luciano for $1. Emergency wording and 1 reading is requested. Please see request for details. If everyone has been able to see this, this is the lot off of Worcester and 14th Street. He has bought that property and I believe is looking to make it into extra parking space for the building. If anyone has any questions, comments? Anyone from the body? Gallery? Perfect.
Is that the usual price we sell these lots for?
Yes, Carl.
It is not the usual price for these properties. However, this property has been sitting vacant for probably the past 10 plus years. We've had contracts previously for proposed business to purchase it. However, every time the agreement comes into play, they back out. This will help utilize vacant space from a property owner who's going to open a restaurant, and they can utilize it for either green space, patio, or required parking.
So it will be used to improve our area. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Beck?
How come we have decided to sell for $1 rather than square footage pricing that we've done before?
So originally, this property was purchased for the square footage price of the $1 per square foot because it was considered buildable for the previous owner, or from the previous development code. They did not end up utilizing it, so we clawed it back. And they honestly, they feel for what the improvements are gonna have to do to make it a parking lot, grading, drainage, instead of floodplain. They're asking for the dollar, so they have the money to make the improvements required.
Any other council members? No? All right. In my opinion, it's a small lot that we can get off of our backs, and it's tax dollars that will come in, as little as it is, and it's one less lot that will be responsible to mow. So, more time focused on other areas. So, with nothing else, I will entertain a motion to put this on the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Gearhart. And do I have a second?
Okay, I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. Second request for legislation is a letter from Stacy Carr, Planning Director, requesting legislation to sell the Mobile Response Center RV. Emergency wording and one reading requested. Please see request for details. Director Carr, would you just like to speak to this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I would like to amend on the floor.
I believe so.
Could you maybe put, donation as well, donate?
I think you can amend it while it's in your
Committee. Right.
It has not been called for, so there's nothing, so you can amend it in your committee.
Okay, thank you.
So this was purchased with community development block grant dollars several years ago. We utilized it for several different things. Homeward hotspot stations for low-income areas. The fire department has used it, the parks department have used it over the years. Nobody's requesting to use it anymore. We've noticed that a lot of the companies that used to have their own. So with that, if it is worth $10,000 or less, and we're in the process of getting those quotes, it's kind of hard to get a RV quote for this type of, product. But according to HUD guidelines, if it is less than $10,000, we have the opportunity to donate it. If it is over $10,000, we can sell it. I don't know what kind of market it is for an RV to this size, so if we could amend it to say sell and or donate to a nonprofit would be great. But any money that we get back from this RV will go back into CDBG and be utilized for HUD-guided activities.
Okay.
And then, can I-
Yeah, sure.
So HUD has okayed that we can.
We have
we-
met
we-
our guidelines, yes,
Okay,
we're able to.
that's why I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Any thoughts on the donation if it comes back as less than 10,000? Shoot that. No?
Sure, why not?
No?
No.
So, Law Director Miller, I can just write that in. Is that how this
You're
works?
just gonna.
To move it?
Did you vote for the amendment in the committee?
Not yet, no.
Yep, you have to move for the amendment in the committee, then, Lori can take note of what, amendment was made, and then she'll let Hannah know, and she'll redistribute the amendment.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So I'll make that motion, Dallas, that we can put in the word sell
Okay.
and or donate.
Okay.
Should we say and or donate to a nonprofit?
I think that's, is that supposed to be?
Is that who you have to
That's okay.
donate it to?
Yes. Just giving us that option, thank you.
Okay. And a second for that?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. An aye here. through, and then I need to vote to put this on the consent agenda as well, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second for that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, that goes through. All right. Thank you, everyone. And so the third request for legislation is a letter from Stacy Carr, Planning Director, requesting legislation to sell city owner parcel 0115521 to Mr. Dave Thompson, Monogram Development LLC for no more than $1, emergency wording and one reading requested. Please see request for details. This property is the old Rite Aid on Worcester and 31st Street at Johnson Corner. It's a parcel that the city owned that's part of their parking lot. So with the new development that's going on there, just giving them the property, I think makes sense. Any comments?
That's really weird. That's partial the parking lot that we have.
Yeah.
Director Carr, anything?
No, just the fact that since the inception of Rite Aid.
Stacy?
Yes,
We're having trouble hearing. Could you step up to the mic?
sure.
Appreciate it.
Is this better?
Yes.
Since the inception of Rite Aid, we've actually been leasing that property to them for, I think it's like 15 years at a time for like $10. So they've had control over it, they've been using it, so it just makes sense to get rid of it. There is a historical placard located on the property that Rite Aid actually installed at the request of the city of Barberton, and Mr. Dave Thomas has interest in keeping that for us and maintaining it.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
No? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I will take a motion to put this on the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. All right, for pending legislation and appointments, we do have second readings tonight. Resolution number 33, 2026, presented by Mr. Moore, titled Loss of Confidence Parks and Recreation Commission. A resolution expressing a loss of confidence in the City of Barberton Parks and Recreation Commission and declaring an emergency. Resolution number 34, 2026, presented by Mr. Moore, titled Loss of Confidence Parks and Commission Chair. A resolution expressing a loss of confidence in the mayor's decision to not adhere to the recommendations of Human Resources to remove the chair of the City of Barberton Parks and Recreation Commission and declaring an emergency. And with that, we would have any miscellaneous discussion this evening from my committee. Anything from the body? Yes, Ms. Miller?
Is that one resolution? I've mixed up my papers. Is that one resolution or is that two?
Those are two separate resolutions.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else? Anything from the gallery? No? All right. Seeing no more discussion, I will move to adjourn the meeting. There's a second.
I'll second.
We are adjourned at 6:11, and with that, Mr. President, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Public Welfare, Safety, and Public Relations, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to bring the Public Welfare, Safety, and Public Relations Committee to order. It's March 23rd, 6:11 p.m. We're here in council chambers. All members of my committee are present, including myself as chair, Mr. Moore co-chair, Ms. Gearhart. All other council members are present, and guests is noted on my sheet. We have no request for legislation. We have one pending legislation, ordinance number 39-2026. Title amending Barberton Codified Ordinances, Chapter 1604, Ohio National Fire Codes. An ordinance amending Barberton Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1604, titled Ohio and National Fire Codes, to reflect an update in the inspection fee schedule, updated wording in section 1604.15, and the addition of section 1604.19, fire department specialty fees, and declaring an emergency. Do we have anything for miscellaneous? Other council members? Ballard? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please?
I'll go ahead and second that.
We adjourned at 16:13, or excuse me, 6:13 p.m. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Rules, Marketing, Development, and Information Technology, Ms. Gearhart.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. At this time, I'd like to bring Goals, Marketing, Development, and Information Technologies to order. It is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. It is 6:13 p.m. and we're here in council chambers. All members of my committee are present, including myself as chair, Mrs. Beck as co-chair, and Mrs. Hager. Other council members and others as noted on my sheet. We have no requests or pending requests for legislation, but tonight we have some very special guests in the audience who are going to talk to council. At this time, I'd like to welcome up Mr. Scott Wagner from the BCDC, Mrs. Melanie Black from Main Street Barberton, and Mr. Gil Gonzalez from the foundation, who are going to share with council and citizens about the Barberton is Back grants.
Sir. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. Good evening. I'm Gil Gonzalez. I'm Director of Special Projects with Barberton Community Foundation. Obviously, you know Melanie and Scott back here tonight. We were going to talk about, and you'll see up there you have it in your packet as well, one of the new grant programs, which hopefully you've seen highlighted in either local media or you've seen some of the grants rolled out across some of the businesses within Barberton. So tonight we wanted to talk about a little bit about why we focused on downtown, what was the purpose behind that, how we're kind of scoring and underwriting those grants downtown, of who were awarded, what this collaboration looks like, and then more importantly, some of the success stories and lessons learned.
Just tell me when you want me to push it forward.
Okay. I'm on a lot of flu medication, so first off, stay away from me. And then secondly, I'm going to defer to Melanie quite a bit because obviously she's been an intricate part of this along with Scott. So next slide, please. So, you know, whenever you're talking about economic development or placemaking in a community, it really starts in the heart of your downtown. Folks want to see that they have a place to gather, a place to shop, a place to obviously go out to eat with their family and friends. One of the data points that I want to point out up here is 68% of dollars that get spent in downtown end up staying in a community versus national chains, meaning that the restaurants, the business owners who open up in your local downtown usually have vendors, suppliers, they'll use your local CPA. So you want to encourage that placemaking, you want to encourage that investment in downtown. I do have a bad number up here. It says 84% of BWXD's 1,200 employees. That's not accurate. Last year, or about a year and a half ago, we did a survey of about 110 BWXD employees, and 84% of those employees responded saying that downtown really needed some improvements. I'm not going to cite all the feedback from it, but it was very well informed into how we rolled out this program and why we decided to invest in Barberton is Back. There was a big appetite for folks to come downtown. Obviously, they're a block away to shop down here, to spend after hours. 97% of their employees live outside of Barberton. They commute about 20%. So really revitalizing our downtown and making sure that we have a central place is really important for our largest employer, but also our community members. Next slide, please. So the way that this works is BCF is the funder. Obviously, we have grant funds through the foundation. Main Street Barberton has been basically our PR, all things marketing, as well as vetting. Melanie can talk a little bit about what she's done to date in terms of getting the word out, maybe with applicants, potential applicants, but also those who are interested, maybe a good fit or even not a good fit. And then of course BCDC, as they are with many of our grant programs at the foundation, they've been really our grant administrator, which I'm really grateful for because Kitty does a really good job of making sure every single cent is accounted for. The receipts are collected, there's documentation. All right, next slide, please. The following. So here's the short of it. 2025, we invested $351,000 across 6 projects. That ended up becoming, actually, yeah, you got a different one up there. Sorry about that. That was about $800,000 in private investment that was matched with that $351,000. So it's actually a total of 1.15 million, not that number up there. Those were for some adjusted numbers. So the ones that you have in your packet are actually accurate. So what we always focus on is that if we're going to give out grant dollars, we want to make sure that not only were dollars going to be matched from the private sector or the business owners, but the more that they were going to invest, the higher likelihood that they were going to be awarded the grant. Go ahead, next slide, please. I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
Okay, so I'm just going to refer to some of the awardees that received the funding, the grant funding. So Clem's Rival Bites, most of you are probably familiar with that business, opened up this year. The award was from last year. Personally, I know he shared with me that he has invested over $500,000 into that building. Had it not been for that grant, he never would have purchased that building. So again, what we identified is there was a lot of vacant buildings downtown, not worth the investment as is, and so they needed some sort of incentive to go in and purchase those because they were long-standing vacant. Some of them 20 plus years sitting there with absolutely nothing happening on them. The Caddy Corner, which was awarded money last year, is currently under renovation. That's the 650, 652 West Tusk that you might see happening right now just across from where the corner is. La Mia Cucina, that is going to be where Lake Anna Hall is. That recently is, it's actually under contract right now. They'll be receiving that funds for restaurants. Baked and Loaded, 572 West Tusk. That was a building that had some renovations done. And then lastly, we have 162, 164 2nd Street, which is going to be available for lease probably tomorrow. So we're super excited to see that. In your packet, you can see some before and after pictures. So that before and after of Clem's Viral Bites. Hard to see up there, but the place as it looked when we went through it as it was being sold, bad, very bad condition. And then you can see the after. Obviously, if you've been there, you know what the after looks like. But definitely every cent that was spent was needed to get that building renovated, cleaned out, and up and operating. The Tea Lady also received funding in $20,000, and then mentioned Caddy Corner, $20,000 for the business aspect. So 2 of these businesses are currently operating, 3 are pending, and then 1 is going for lease currently right now. The Tea Lady, just to kind of give you some highlights, so she received $20,000. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. Again, there's a before and after picture, also vacant building that had been sitting for several years. You can see what that looks like. We took a picture before it was leased, and then what it looks like now. Renee ended up having that building renovated at 192nd Street. She relocated from an original location in Akron, so she was previously in Akron, a current existing business, and relocated to downtown Barberton. Total project investment $43,000. You can see again she received the grant, and then plus she had to match that grant in order to get those funds and to get it renovated. So again, she's currently up and operating. Just some of the lessons learned from these grants that were put out there. So we identified some of the areas that we were looking at was more innovative. So individuals who applied for these grants, we didn't want we didn't want any duplicates. We wanted to avoid duplicate businesses downtown. We wanted something that was different, unique, so it would draw people, visitors from the city, from other cities to come to Barberton. And so we looked at different, obviously the Tea Lady is different. It's not something you typically see in every single city. The golf simulation, which is going to be opening up this year, that's being renovated on Tusk. That's going to be a golf simulator. So again, something unique, different, an experience. People are coming downtown for the entertainment component and then sticking around and having dinner afterwards. The tea room, again, sort of a unique experience. It's not just having lunch. It's actually a whole, if you haven't been there, it's a whole experience. You're in there for quite a bit of time. Obviously, authentic Italian food, losing Parasons, so potentially gaining another restaurant here pretty soon. We also looked at the location of where they were wanting to place where they were going to be putting the businesses at. That was something that we considered as well. So for example, with Jeremy and the new city hall coming forward, that was a great alignment of where that was at, hopefully driving traffic that way. Again, looking for vibrant community gathering spaces, and again, focusing on the buildings that were available and were currently vacant versus buildings that maybe already were occupied with a business and already had that ability to be rented. And again, we have several businesses that have opened up. We have more opening up very soon, so we're excited to see many more businesses, at least 4 opening up in the next probably 3 to 4 months. And then some of the key lessons that we learned is definitely the importance of the pre-application. So when people do apply, they go directly through me first, and so I can sit down and kind of vet them. Again, we want sustainable businesses. We don't want hobby shops down here. Hobby shops are not necessarily sustainable. They're not generating the foot traffic that we want. And so it was very important that when this grant was posted that we look at specifically what they're trying to do. Do they have a business plan? Do they have a budget? Have they, forward thinking about this? Have they already, are they able to provide the data, that the funding? Do they have money to substantiate this business, getting it up and running? Because obviously it's not reliant on community foundation. It's reliant on their own income as well to get these buildings and businesses started. So they have to come forward with money themselves. And then obviously just having some flexible funding structures and recognizing the timelines, about 12 to 18 months to get these buildings activated. We were hoping they could be done sooner, but the amount of restoration and damage that's been done over the years has definitely extended the time frame of what a business needs to get operational in these buildings because they're so bad. So definitely, looking at 18 months is more realistic of getting new businesses in there versus the 12 that we initially suggested. The importance of this partnership. So again, without one of us, this wouldn't be such a streamlined process. I know we've had some other cities reach out and want to actually see how we're operating because it's been pretty flawless. So again, the dynamic with, we have a foundation who has the funding. Main Street identified the need for the funding. Again, I had these vacant buildings sitting down here, 20 plus vacant buildings. I can't get people to buy them, invest in them if we didn't have some sort of incentive. So this activated that incentive. And I'm proud to say, just to kind of share a little bit about how this kind of snowball effect has taken place. As of today, we've sold 25 buildings in a 1 mile radius downtown. So as of this month, 25 buildings in a 1 mile radius have been sold. And so that's what this did. This kick-started the need to see Barberton on the map, to see new businesses coming into town, and to see that we are an investment community. So yeah. Sure.
So one of the major foundations of the grant funding, as I said before, is you want to leverage it, but more importantly, there has to have impact to it. So if somebody says that they're going to do something, you want to make sure that they did it, and then there's also ROI to the community in some capacity. So one of the things that we looked at, and these are still in flux right now because a couple of the projects aren't finished yet, is we took into consideration how many jobs they were going to be generating, part-time, full-time. Of course, we wanted to know how much money they were bringing to the table. That was going to be batched. And then, of course, if they were going to be doing something that was novel or something that was interesting for the community. So here's so far is what the economic impact is, kind of the multiplier effect. So total leverage, our 351 turned into a total of 1.4 million deployed into these projects. Rehab some really in-need buildings that were distressed and brought those projects online, or buildings online, which again, they were just sitting vacant before. And then again, 15 plus jobs when all 6 projects are going to be completed. So Melanie's going to talk about the 2026 grant. This is something that the foundation is looking to continue doing. We've been fortunate to have really good results. Not only have they called Melanie, but other communities have called us. Kind of copied our what we're doing here in Barberton, which is flattering, but so far it's going well.
So just to kind of touch base, the 2026 grant was put out this year. January end date was February. I believe we had 6 applicants, full applicants who applied. Those individuals that closed, so the 2026 grant cycle is closed, and we will be announcing the winner of that shortly. The projected project completion date will be December, and that award amount will be $125,000. So the 2026 grant that was put out there was for $125,000 for one building to be renovated. So that was this year's grant. The eligible project type that we were specifically looking for the 2026 grant was structural repairs and safety enhancements, facade restoration and historical preservation, energy efficient upgrades, interior improvements for tenants, and they had to be in the Main Street boundary corridor, which was 2nd Street and West Tusk, again being where what's considered our downtown and what Main Street covers. And we hope to have the winning individual here pretty soon, so we're hoping to be able to announce that.
Probably May.
Yeah.
So that's what we have. Any questions?
Not so, imagine that, my hand goes up. Not so much a question, but first of all, thank you guys for all coming in tonight and all that you guys are doing. I think this is amazing to think that the grant funding was $351,000. With all the matching money, it had an economic impact of $1.15 million. So I love seeing that and what we can do when we incentivize it and have them put in their money in also. Do we have any other questions or Mrs. Becker?
What made you guys decide to do one award, like one big mega award, over a couple of different ones?
So mostly just because that's what we have available for this round. It may increase the following round, but right now that's what we have. We could have done smaller restaurant and retail grants. We were doing those in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. We found that the rehab were much more impactful than doing the $20,000. So most of the folks were really interested in the full building rehab. So 125 made sense for this one.
And then Scott?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to it. I mean, they covered pretty much everything. But how the process works, once it's vetted and the applications come to BCDC, we have a grant review committee. It's 3 BCDC board members get together, review it, and then the final approvals with the foundation. Pretty seamless process. We also, just so everyone knows, excuse me, we issue approximately, we average $1 million a year in loans throughout the city. One thing we did is recently is start promoting a $5,000 loan to downtown businesses at 3% interest. We had an economic development administration fund that was defederalized, was loosened things up for us, so we started that. We've since put that out citywide, but we have a lot of downtown loan clients, and we've had some people take advantage of that $5,000 loan. But if I could just emphasize the partnership between the foundation and Main Street, BCBC, and the city has been great.
Yeah. I love seeing that. So Scott, you just said that the $5,000 loan with 3% interest is citywide?
It is. It's a 3-year term.
3 years.
It comes out to like $148 a month.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, and rest assured, Scott's grant committee, you have some impressive people there that go over the numbers and make sure they're making wise decisions there. So, do we have any other questions or?
If it's okay, I'll just make one last comment. Obviously, the planning department is leading our master plan process. And as you've seen in other communities, it's all about momentum and obviously having a plan in place. So hopefully not hopefully, we've seen that this is creating a little momentum. We were talking to Melanie last year, and I said, if we do this right, she'll stop having to make calls outbound, and folks will start calling her, and I think that's demonstrated to be true. Once we have this master plan executed over this next year, you get some of these wins, that's really when you start seeing a true transformation happening in Barberton, not only downtown, but reverberating outside of just the central core as well. So it's a great time to be in Barberton. So,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a wonderful time to be in Barberton. I agree.
Yes.
Just have one more thing, really just a comment. And I tell people this all the time. I feel like Barberton is, especially downtown, is about to turn a corner. And I know it's because of the work that you guys are doing. And I'm so grateful to have you guys here, and I'm glad that you're doing this work. So thank you, and I feel like your efforts are about to pay off in a big way. I just have a feeling about it. So
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So another thing that kind of came up today even was looking at, getting economic consulting, just getting a plan together for Barberton through planning, who really spearheads, economic development here. So I know we talked about maybe discussing this at council tonight. Mr. Gonzalez, I do not remember what you said your title is currently, but I know you have a background in economic development. Are you able to just kind of give a very brief overview to council of what a program would look like, measurable goals, process, just super quick?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll speak on just as myself, Gil. I don't want to speak on behalf of the foundation.
Your background.
So my background is in economic development. I've been doing it for about 13, 14 years, mostly at the state level, but also as a senior advisor to the mayor of Los Angeles for a few years, mostly doing economic development, BRE, some planning, and also strategy. When folks talk about economic development, and this, I'm preaching to the choir here, it's the core of it is to increase the tax base, and you can do that in a lot of ways. You can increase jobs, you get more payroll taxes, you can bring in capital investment. Of course, you get, actually, I don't believe you all have property taxes here, personal property taxes here in California, we do, but you certainly get the real estate tax. But overall, economic development 101 is to increase the tax base in your community. When you're talking about, and I know we've had some kind of one-off conversations, even in the mayor's led a lot of these conversations as well, and I think we would all agree, is one is you have to know what your community is. That starts with knowing who your employers are, from top to bottom, from your largest employer all the way down to the two-person CNC shop, and everyone in between. Secondly is you have to have real data on that. So number of employees, what their revenues are, to some degree, you can get that access through some of your tax rules probably. Once you have that information, obviously understanding what their needs are, if you're doing BRE, business retention expansion, if your goal is to increase jobs, you go out and you meet with them. And I think the mayor is doing that. We've talked about that on several occasions of doing business retention and expansion visits. But you have to have some value add that you're bringing to those meetings. So usually when you're talking to these folks, they're going to want to say, hey, I'm having a hard time getting employees, or we're going to be expanding. We don't know if you have land here, or we need another 15, 20,000 square feet. I know the mayor's brought up a couple folks who have needs like that. So when you're coming to these meetings, you obviously want to have some value add, whether it's incentives, but more importantly, understanding what their needs are. That data set, as you go out and do those visits, just needs to be tracked. And as you're tracking it, you're understanding if you're tracking in the right direction or if you're tracking in the wrong direction. So if you're getting folks that are saying, hey, I want to expand or I need to hire employees, and you're providing them with resources and connecting them with a place to lease or buy, and/or employees to hire, or incentives from the state, economic development wise, your department would be tracking that and saying, hey, well, we did this visit, we understand their needs, we met their needs, or we didn't meet their needs in certain ways, and you're just tracking that to understand if your activities are effective. You do that over a period of a year with a CRM, management system, tracking all this data, and you really see kind of, hey, are your economic development activities effective or not, and then you pivot accordingly. So I wish that there was, it's not a huge feat, it's relatively simple. There's kind of economic development 101 principles, and that was a very summary of kind of what I would view it is. There's a whole bunch of nuances to that, and I'm happy to answer questions if you'd like me to. So.
I think that was a good base for the conversations that we need to be having and working towards.
Sure.
Does anybody have, I know that was a lot. Does anybody have any questions or anything catch their attention?
And go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Do you by chance happen to know like the top 3 businesses in Barberton? Like off the top of your head?
So EWXD, PPG, and then Christian Health Ministries, I think they're in the top 5. I actually have the list of the top 20.
Okay.
I would have to double check.
Thank you.
And again, how you look at that could be employees, or that could be payroll, that could be tax revenue to the city, and all of that is for you to discern how you want to dictate your quote unquote largest employers, top employers.
Okay.
I'll ask a question. So, so once we get to the point where we're tracking this and we have a CRM or something, like what should we expect, or what should be happening as far as like reporting on that, right? Because I think there's a lot of people that are interested in seeing what the progress, if we're making progress, and what that looks like. What should we expect? Like, what should we be looking for as expectations to know that we're even doing the process correctly?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I mean, it all comes down to, so when I was at the Arizona Commerce Authority, we would have close won or close lost, and that was very simple. Close win was they hired employees, net new employees, you retained employees, or you attracted capital expenditure in some form. That's usually furniture, fixture, real estate, equipment, etc. Right? That was very, very, very obvious. Closed loss was if you're out there meeting with those folks and they move to Medina, or if they're laying off employees, or they're not making capital investment in your community and a community maybe somewhere else, even out of state, we would just say that's a closed loss. So it's pretty straightforward when you're looking at the activity. I do want to frame this though as, you know, and I'm not the expert, I want to make that very clear, is, you know, having a strategy. Once you get some of these systems and data in place, that allows you to now start putting a strategy in. Just like with your master plan, we're going to have a master plan. That master plan is only going to be as good as the folks that can execute on it, or us going out and selling it to developers and being, you know, excited about what's to come. Which means that we have to have our homework done. You know, these buildings, it's going to take this much to rehab these buildings. Here's the demographics, the spending power, all that sort of information. You can't do that with an economic development strategy until you have your baseline data in place with your tracking, etc. So to answer your question specifically, you're going to know very quickly if you're being effective. One is if people take your meetings, and if they don't take your meetings and they don't think that you have value add. If they do take your meetings and you're not able to provide some sort of value add, then that's another challenge. But assuming that you are, you'll be able to see very quickly, hey, look, this company, Meriwether Foam, was hiring 5 employees, and we connected them with tech cred, and they got 4 incentives for tech. Like, that's a win for us, right? That's a win for the community. And you'll be able to see that relatively quickly as you start doing this activity.
So you had mentioned like closed won and closed loss. It sounds like a traditional sales funnel, right? Is that sort of like what we?
Yeah, I mean, so again, my experience is that's just the way that I've been brought up and trained in economic development. You're selling your community, and you're providing value add to your constituents, i.e. your business owners, and you want to attract more of those customers to your community, all with the end goal of increasing your tax base. So if you're losing jobs, losing population, losing tax base, you're losing. And if you're winning, then you're winning. I mean, it's very apparent. There's a, yeah.
Thank you. Just, can you expand a little bit on like what a time frame kind of looks like? Just based on like our schools being in crisis, you know, we need to expand our tax revenue quicker than possible, really, you know, and bring more money in to help save the schools and get people moving in here.
Yeah.
Can you just expand on that a little bit, like what a timeline would look like to turn the city around in the perfect world?
Oh,
like a rough, like.
I mean, look, I think we're,
yeah, this is the Hallmark movie.
We're bullish on Barberton, and the mayor has a team, and like, you know, I haven't been meeting as often. I've been tied up with some workforce development projects, but so there is activity, and the needle is pointing up. The arrow is pointing up, certainly. The answer is, you know, when you look at a true economic development strategy, and just to say this at its core, you have to have a master plan, And once you have a master plan, you understand data-driven, what your city looks like, what your city is, and what you envision it to be over the next 10 years, what you want it to be, right? Once you start attracting businesses that, again, if you have Newell Street that's zoned for a certain use, but all the data says that it shouldn't be zoned for that, and yet your land use and everything else is that it should be zoned for that, you're kind of stuck with that. So you have to have a master plan that dictates what you want your city to look like over the next 10 years. Once you have that, then you can layer on an economic development strategy. But your economic development strategy is going to be reflective of what your community is. You could say you want to attract a whole bunch of manufacturers, but if you only have 2 million square feet of industrial land and it's all dirty and needs remediation, you're not going to attract some mega manufacturer. And then you have to have the demographics of the workforce. Increasingly in this market, workforce is everything. That's what everybody will tell you. So your economic development strategy after master plan, you could really start getting work on that probably towards the tail end of the master plan, if not the middle, and you'll start seeing the results of that activity, just like you see the results of this. This didn't exist a year ago, but we planned for it, we underwrote it, we scored it, we said we're going to be focused on this, we did it, and here's the outcomes. Now, all of them aren't going to be successful, and that happened in a year. So let's do this times 10x.
Thank you.
So I don't have a direct answer for you, but it's not as far-fetched as 5 years. You can start doing work relatively soon, see the results.
That was a good answer. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Especially doing all that while you're not feeling well. Thank you. Okay, so I think we filled up most of my miscellaneous discussion for this evening. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second. Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:44.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gerhart. City Utilities, Mr. Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to call the City Utilities Committee to order. It is March 23rd, 2026. It is 6:45. All members of my committee are present. Myself as chair, Ms. Hager's co-chair, and Ms. Miller, as well as other members of council and guests as noted on my sheet. We have one request for legislation tonight. It's a letter from Caroline Crawford, Stormwater Manager, requesting legislation to amend Ordinance 72-2009 titled 2009 Floodplain Management Program to comply with current National Floodplain Insurance Program regulations as required by the ODNR, emergency wording, and one reading requested. Do you have any remarks on that legislation? Delivering it looks pretty straightforward.
It looks to me like we need to do it, but we're not going to be in compliance with the federal laws. So.
Okay. I would like to, is there any other remarks from outside the committee? Can I have a motion to place that on the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We also have one piece of pending legislation titled Enter into Contract Utilities Department Verdantis LLC, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional engineering services contract with Verdantis LLC for the Water Pollution Control Center's no feasible alternative improvement project in an amount not to exceed $685,000 and declaring an emergency. And then miscellaneous discussion. So I'd like to kick off the miscellaneous discussion by talking about the letter from Dynergy. I think everybody late last week into the weekend was sort of talking about this. Everybody who's on the aggregate has probably received the letter at this point. And I think the letter might be a little bit confusing to some people, right? So our intent with sort of hurrying to make a decision and get NOPEC, to get ourselves under contract with NOPEC, was so that there would be hopefully no gap, no dropping to the standard rate for 1 month. So I think that's like the worst case is we drop, everybody who's on the aggregate drops for 1 month before they get picked up by NOPEC. But the goal is to have none of that we just roll them straight over. So I just wanted to mention that. I wanted to see if there's any more questions regarding that. So I'll open it up for discussion or remarks. Yes.
So, hopefully we won't be out in the open market and in an aggregate for that month of May. Is it, Director Shreve, is it looking like we won't be out in the open market for May, or it's actually not that far away, so?
So that is a question that I cannot answer for you. I mean, I would have to reach out to Brenda. I know Mr. Stoll has emailed her this morning. We have not received a response yet. We can forward that along once we get it.
Mr. Moore?
That was her expectation, right? And why she
Correct.
pushed us to
Correct.
act quickly, right?
Correct.
So that would be on her, in my opinion, if we don't.
So I would say the expectation was everything we can do, we'll do everything we can do to just roll people over and have, you're not on that. But, if you remember when we originally talked, worst case would have been 1 month during May, rolling onto the sort of standard.
It has to do, and I'm just doing this as a citizen, I didn't know, because my gas bill stays relatively low, but I got a phone call from the gas company about me not being on there. Did they do that to everybody, or
So this is electric aggregate?
are we doing no pick for gas as well?
Maybe, well, we'll have to have that debate.
Okay.
I think we'll talk about gas here soon. We're going to talk about electric.
Without knowing that, because I got some phone calls about this letter, and they were kind of a bit panicked because the letter makes it kind of sound, doesn't mention anything about NOPEC. And I know this came from Dynegy, so they didn't have any reason to say, oh, well, you're going to go on the NOPEC. So really, all I can say is hopefully at this point that we will that we'll roll over to one in May.
I can't give you a more
I know you
concrete
can't.
answer.
I know.
I don't think anybody can give you a more concrete
right.
answer, but
The urgency of it is.
Yeah, we are on track to roll from Dynegy and that into NOPEC.
Right.
Mr. Shreve?
So the very first step for NOPEC is going to be the opt-out letter. So you're getting a letter from Dynegy explaining, hey, this ends, the end of April, because it was May through April 30th. The very next piece of mail you will get is from NOPEC, giving you the option to opt out. So if you want to shop apples to apples and purchase your own rate and not go with NOPEC, that'll be the very next piece of mail they get. Now, Brenda will be able to answer that question when she comes in, or when she responds to the email.
Right.
I just also wanted to point out, I just did a quick search, and now again it's Google AI, but the rate right now for First Energy is 9.33, so it's hundredths of a cent higher than what we're paying right now. So it's not like we're going from 9.3 or 9.32 to 12. So I think that it'll be a minimal impact if we do have to see that 1 month.
Right. I want you all to understand, it's not that I don't understand these things. It's that when I talk to a constituent and say, hopefully, maybe, they don't like those answers just as much as I do. It's not that I don't understand how this is working, you guys. I don't like saying hopefully and maybe. So I'm telling you, there's a sense of urgency, so I can have something to say to people. So that's
well, I mean,
that's
I
the
would
point of
I would let them know,
yeah.
The next piece of mail you should expect will be from NOPEC, allowing you to opt in or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this is just the process, right? We had to notify Dynergy that we're gonna be not renewing with them, and then also notifying them that they have to send the list of customers to NOPEC, so that NOPEC has the list so that they can send out the letters. So it's just sort of like a step by step. Mr. Moore?
Is this something that the city Facebook page, Mayor, could get out to the community in a way that we're switching from one to the other, and to expect pieces of mail and just communicating with citizens more easily?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I didn't get a letter, so the first time I saw anything was your post.
I just got mine yesterday, so.
Okay. So, yeah, we can get something out. I wasn't aware that letters were going out this soon. And, we want to be as clear as possible too, that maybes, I'm sure.
It's not good enough.
Yeah, and we don't want to get into the same issue we had with Dynergy with the gas. I'm saying that we would, but making sure that customers don't.
Right. And it's Brenda from NOPEC? Is that right? Brenda, I mean, she sat right there and said, if we do it tonight, her timeline was we would be good. So it is on Brenda she said we would be good. That's what I wanted to say to the community. She said we would be good.
Well, and I just want to echo that too, because I don't think we should create our own narrative. I think we should wait for Brenda to respond.
Sure, but she said we would be good on.
Yes, well, I understand that, but I don't want to throw that on Facebook and be like, oh, well, she said that, until she actually says, hey, this is the next step. This is,
Sure.
and as soon as we have that information, we'll put that up and make it public.
But in the meantime, we need to get, if the community members are freaking out, we need to say we're handling it. We need to be proactive, not reactive to situations from now on. That's what the expectation should be in the city. Proactivity, not reactivity. So if we're getting these letters, we need to let the community know we are handling it. It's getting handled. That's my ask, please. And I think Ms. Beck's as well.
Indeed. This letter says, goodbye.
It's fear. It's fear mongering.
So now I have to say, oh, no, we're going to NOPEC, you know.
Thank you. Mr. Harris?
I just want to reiterate that the letter that everybody got from Dynergy is for the electric aggregate, not the gas aggregate. That gas aggregate is good till like November? October. So the Dynergy letter has nothing to do with the gas aggregate. It's totally electric. Now I'm still waiting on PUCO to respond back to me about the gas mess up, but I've also heard that a lot of the residents were re-enrolled and it went through this time. But they still lost 2 months. One of those months was probably the coldest of the year. And they were paying $7.96 per MCF instead of $4.84 per MCF. So as soon as I get back, as soon as PUCO gets me some information, we'll see where we're gonna go from there. I truly think whoever's held responsible needs to reimburse the residents that were on the gas aggregate.
Yeah, I think we all agree with you. We're looking forward to seeing what PUCO
Yes.
has to say.
And I think 3 weeks, they told me 2 to 3 weeks on the investigation, so we're getting close to that. And then I'll start bugging them. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Moore?
On the gas, was it certain sections of addresses? Do we know that, or should we ask everyone to look at their gas bill?
That's why I put the post out, because I was getting phone calls from my residents in my ward, Ward 2, all over the city actually, and so all I was told that was somewhere between 1,200 to 1,700 residents were affected. So I kind of have my inclinations on who's at fault, but I won't express those right now until the investigation's done.
Any more discussion from my committee? From council? Anybody in the gallery? Any miscellaneous discussion for utilities? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:57. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Stoll. Finance Personnel, Mr. Foreman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to call to order Finance and Personnel meeting to order. It's Monday, March 23rd, 2026. It's 6:57. Myself as chair, Chris Dole's co-chair, and Mr. Harris. All council members present, and also those others noted. We will not have any finance presentation for this time, but I would like to invoke Rule 702 to suspend. Excuse me? Was there?
We need to read the legislation first before.
Okay, that's what I was,
Implement all that
thank
stuff,
you.
yeah.
All right. We have a letter from Jamie Eisman, Human Resource Director, requesting legislation to amend ordinance, 181-2025, employee compensation and pay grades for non-bargaining employees to place Michael Leemley at, pay grade 6, step 9 for general foreman utilities in the distribution and collection department, emergency wording, and one reading requesting. This suspension of the 10-day rule has been approved by Lisa Miller, Law Director. The letter from Jamie Eisman. Leemley brings nearly 15 years of dedicated service to Barberton. His career as labor and utilities department, and has advanced to senior role for group leader senior. Throughout his tenure, he has demonstrated strong leadership, reliability, and greater understanding of the department's operation. In addition to his extensive hands-on experience, Mr. Leemley has completed all required licensure and certification requirements ahead of the mandated timeline. His comprehensive knowledge of both the distribution and collection operations makes him well qualified to step into a broader leadership role. Given his experience, qualifications, proven commitment to the city, Mr. Leemley should be equitably compensated in accepting the position of general foreman for the distribution and collection department. So for that, I would like to,
I just, before you do that, I want to just answer any questions and explain to new council why this request came forward. So employees that are in this pay grade, we are only have authorization to pay up to step 6. So I have to come to council and get approval for anything over that. And I come to you asking for approval for Mr. Lemley due to his, as you see, the experience he has, over 15 years. He has all the qualifications. He's just the right person for the role. We do take a look at wages. Mr. Lemley would be leaving a position. He's currently a group leader senior. So we want to make it, so they want to move on and move up in management. In order to do that, we would have to pay him at the highest step. If I paid him at a one step lower, it would be less than what he would be making. I'm estimating what his earnings would be for 2026. But doing those calculations, to have him have any sort of advancement, we would have to pay him at the highest step.
Any other questions? Okay, I would like to vote Council Rule 702 to suspend, Council Rule 302, 10-day rule. Can I have a motion to invoke the 702 to suspend Council Rule 302?
Motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second. All those in favor to vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And then, can I have a motion to invoke Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 304?
Motion.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor to vote, to suspend Rule 302?
Aye.
Thank you. Then, can I have a motion to invoke Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 401?
Not called at the committee of the whole. I'll make that motion.
Oh, yes, sorry about that. Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do I have a vote for to suspend? It says 302, is that right?
No.
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 Should be
401.
402 here, okay. Yeah, it should be 401.
401.
Do I vote to suspend 401?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, so now, can I call, so then we have to vote, can I have a motion to call out ordinance 181-2025?
I'll make a motion that we put it on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
We're voting on it tonight.
Oh,
Okay.
This is correct. I'll make a motion to call it out.
Second.
Second. And the vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And then we have 3 pending legislation. Ordinance 40-2026, amending ordinance number 10-2023, Barberton Residential Services Relief Program. The ordinance amended, amending ordinance number 10-2023 by amending section 2B, section 2C, removing the income threshold and adding new wording and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 42-2026, authorizing payments, and address an ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to pay the invoice to Retzel and address the amount of $12,613.50 for legal services rendered and declaring emergency. Okay, a third reading of ordinance and resolution, ordinance number 24-2026, titled the Operation and Capital Budget, an ordinance adopting the budget for various funds and the City of Barberton for the period beginning January 1, 2026, and providing for the administration therefore and declaring an emergency. This will be the third and final reading. Is there any other remarks? Committee, council, gallery? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Foreman,
Yes, excuse me.
I have Lisa has some miscellaneous information for us.
Perfect. So, Mr. Griffin and I have met a couple times in the last couple weeks, and I specifically said, please call me Lisa, because this is getting so confusing to have 2 Mrs. Millers in the room. So I love that, thank you. I wanted to talk to you all in light of the recent activities that have occurred over the past 3 weeks. This is not a great way to function as an organization. I met with Mr. Griffin and I expressed to him, it is his primary obligation to understand the rules of council. That's his job up there. However, having said that, it is also all of your obligations to know these rules. Number 2, fortunately, we had Mr. Heidick here for so many years, and he loved rules, and he loved knowing the rules and expressing the rules. And I feel like maybe, all of us took advantage of that knowledge and expertise and kind of realized that Mr. Heidick would take care of it. He's not here anymore. So we all have to join together and make sure you know the rules. Additionally, just as Mr. Portman had several rules he needed to suspend or move, and he wasn't sure everyone was going to vote, you should have 2 alternative paths sitting in front of you, knowing these things are going to happen. So this is what I want to happen, and this is how I'm going to call it for suspension, and this is how it would go if it didn't go that way, and what my alternatives are. You should all be prepared for all of those contingencies in your committee. So I'm just imploring you all to really start to learn the rules, because it's your obligation to do so. It's, of course, Mr. Griffin's primary obligation, but all of you need to know that as well, as Mr. Heidick was not council president when he got into the rules. The second thing I want to talk about is the email that I sent out talking about my availability. I don't think there's, I talked to Mrs. Beck today, I've talked to Mr. Moore several times, I met with Mrs. Miller. There is just 0% chance you cannot get a hold of me. So, I'm begging you, before you act, if there's even the slightest concern, please call. We would avoid so many problems if someone would call and just ask the question. I received the same emails you did about the audit letters to the forwarding to the auditor. State auditor, I find it ironic that that is what he or she's office chooses to respond to, since they were mute when Mr. Flaker and I had lots of questions and not very helpful at all. So I just find that interesting. I don't want to do this. I don't want to watch this happen. This is not good, right? And conversations I have with members of council, I'll say, hey, you can't do this. And I am not comparing you to children, but I'm going to tell you that it's just like when my kids were small, and it'd be like, but he did it, or she did it. It is not helpful, right? If you did something that's not correct, you need to take responsibility for it. It's just very simple. So many things in court, which is my frame of reference, and Mr. Harris can tell you too, so many folks in court could avoid so many problems if they just get up in front of Judge McKinney or Judge Stevenson and say, I made a mistake. It's so much different than when you, well, I'm not the only one speeding. Trust me, that's every day, right? There were 10 other speeders. Well, guess what? We didn't catch 10 other speeders. We caught you. And as I like to say, speeding is not a reflection of your character. It just means that your foot pressed just a little too hard on the pedal. And these are all the mistakes that we're making here, right? I don't believe anyone has ill intent, malign intent, but you're going about it as if you do, because you're not asking any questions. You just have to ask. And if in the middle of a meeting, Mrs. Beck and I talked about this today, if in the middle of a meeting, you're going, you know, I'm just not sure, what can you do? You can just raise your hand and say, point of order. Mr. Heidick did that all the time, point of order. And then you have a moment to pause and look and make sure you're doing the right things. So I'm standing right here now. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, super. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
No lies.
You escaped too quickly.
That's okay.
In reading the letter from our lovely Attorney General's office, I see that Brian Portman was blamed for the letter. That I know.
Point of order, Julie, can you move up to your microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Did I use that correctly?
Perfect, thank you.
I saw that the Attorney General's office was blaming Brian Portman for my letter.
So, one, I did not send this to the auditor. I don't know what was sent to the auditor. Zero idea what was sent. I wasn't the person who sent it. But here's what I'm going to tell you. It is my understanding, after speaking to a couple members of council, that Mrs. Miller's letter wasn't the only letter that may have went out to other members of the community regarding fundraisers, okay? So I don't know. Lisa Miller, did not receive a mailing from anyone. So the only mailings I received were when someone gave me the letter, and that's the letter I spoke to you about. I have no idea what was sent to the auditor and under what situation. I did not do that.
Should we as council people be responding to this letter?
Well, they sent it to Julie Miller as a member of the community who sent an inappropriate letter. It's not a government issue. I can't respond to it as the law director. The city of Barberton is not the one who may have potentially violated something. That's an individual situation. So that's something you'll have to decide, and I can't give you advice on that.
Okay.
Good try. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Well, it's not really a question,
Okay.
really. I just wanted to say, and I think we've said this before in here, right, before the new people got in, and I have to apologize. I know that I have not buckled down and gotten into the rules, and life gets in our way all the time. So I'm going to remake that pledge right now to be a helping hand to the new people here. I know I could be a better leader, so I apologize to all of you for not being a better leader and doing one of these when I feel like this isn't something strange here. So I do apologize for that. I apologize to you guys, the citizens. Please give me a little bit of grace on that. And I'll try to give you guys grace as well for when, things go a little bit left of center here. So thank you for being here and hanging with us a little bit. I feel like it's been a bumpy road, more so than normal for my past 2 years, and the second half of 2 years seems a bit more bumpier. So I'll pledge to do better for all of you here and the citizens. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I'd like to, everybody that was here last week that violated the Open Meetings Act, I'd like an apology. We're gonna clean house and straighten our house up. I want everybody that was involved in it to apologize, not only to the council members that weren't involved in it, but the public in general. Because if you do not know what could happen, Ms. Miller, could you?
So just like any violation of either the charter or state law, a resident, any resident or non-resident, any person can file an action in court, and we would receive, if we were found to be violative of those things, we can be fined. And we have to pay the attorney's fees the judge could make us pay the attorney's fees for the prevailing party. So it involves fines, attorney's fees, not to mention, I would have to represent the city in the action. And there are people in the state of Ohio very active in this area.
What is the fine? $500, and then attorney fees and court costs, which doesn't come out of our pocket, it comes out of the taxpayer pocket. Am I correct?
Maybe. I don't know the fine off the top of my head, so.
I'll go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I should have used my words better. So I am apologizing to all of you. It was never my intent to block anyone or do anything like that. I should have used my words better when speaking to my colleagues here. And for that, I kicked myself all weekend for that. And truthfully, that wasn't what I meant to do. I never meant to block any of you. I know I've said to all of you, vote how you want, do what you want. And I didn't choose my words carefully and follow through with, of course there is room for everyone else here. So I should have said that.
Thank you.
Chris, sure. Okay.
Yeah, so I was also here. I seconded. I participated in that, so I apologize for any mistake I may have made during that process.
Thank you.
So to be clear, none of that would have happened had folks known the rules. right? And this is the kind of things that get avoided when you know what in the rules are, right? So, Mr. Griffin and I spoke, right? You know, it's not a race to who nominates people. First of all, there should have been no nominations, right? Because the rules don't provide for that. But even if there is a situation where we have nominations, those are not a race to nominations, right? It's not who's faster on the draw. And so let's pretend there wasn't a rule. Again, point of order, that's not how those are done. So Mr. Griffin and I went over that, and he's going to familiarize himself a little bit more with Robert's rules. Dallas, I guess.
I mean, the only thing that happened was that there was a conversation, Ms. Beck called me about an hour prior to council, but there was never any like promises made or promises kept, and I walked into meeting with Director Carr past that, and I didn't realize I don't think anything was actually broken, but we did talk about nominations, but there was no promises to be made, so I apologize if that wasn't breaking any sunshine laws that I wasn't aware of.
And I just want to reiterate, I'm talking about what happened prior to actual council convening, when Mr. Griffin walked on that side and had a quiet conversation, and then walked to this side with his back to me and had a very quiet conversation, and then to see what happened later in the council meeting regarding nominations and everything, that explained everything. And I don't think you were sitting there, and I don't think you were sitting there. I don't know if you were somewhere else in the room, but I know I was sitting right here as it happened, because I watched it.
I don't know what.
We're in finance.
I'm sorry, Ms. Miller.
I don't know what he talked about on that side, but on this side, it was nothing about nominations. Thank you.
Yes. There was nothing said to me about nominations that I can recall, honestly. I promise that.
Well, I'm just going to inform everybody that was involved that I could actually file the injunction in common police court and name each and every one of you individually in that complaint. And then when the court finds you at fault, then I would suggest that the money come from out of your pocket and not the taxpayer's pocket. This goes back to the same thing that we've continually dealt with over and over again. People not following rules, people breaking laws, and it's got to quit. It's got to quit. I mean, we look like a big circus. I mean, I worked for the city for 25 years, and if you broke a rule, you got in trouble. If you didn't follow policy, you got in trouble. I mean, we're all adults. It's very simple to sit and read your book. I mean, Mr. Griffin is supposed to be on the finance committee. I never see his name there. It happens, then it doesn't happen. It happens, and it doesn't happen. So, by rules, he's supposed to be on it. So let's follow the rules. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Jen, yes, I'm sorry.
Not pointing fingers at anyone, but just in general, you know, I bust my butt doing this job, working with constituents, getting complaints from constituents, doing the best job I can do. I get people, I posted about the water main break, and I get a comment from somebody that actually I looked up on Summit County Board of Elections and doesn't even live in the city. It says, why don't you stick to your own ward? I see people constantly commenting on Facebook. We don't trust council, we don't trust the city, we don't trust the administration. And this is why. This kind of BS that is constantly going on And I'm no perfect angel. You know, I've never claimed to be. I make mistakes. But they're, you know, it's, the rules in here are simple. If you don't discuss it in front of everyone, once we're live, you don't discuss it. That's it. Simple. One rule that you have to follow that pretty much covers everything. And if you're not sure, if you have one little inkling that you might be making a mistake, no matter how dumb you think the question is, we have Lisa. And like she said in her email, the one time in your life when you have free legal advice. I mean, how many times in our life are we gonna have that? You know, I have never been so frustrated in my life because this job means something to me. Representing my constituents means something to me. I don't just come in here on Monday night and vote for stuff and talk about ordinances and, you know, I'm out meeting my constituents. I have bought custom fencing because they were throwing their crap not in their property, on the street. I'm gonna have to fight, you know, well, not them, but there's people throwing trash down on that, as part of Coventry Road. There's more trash down there. There's vagrants. I have to try and figure out, you know, work with the police to get the vagrants out of there. I just worked with the police and the building department to get a drug house shut down. You know, I'm working with Ms. Carr and to get Harder Park done. You know, this, for me, this is not a Monday night job. It is an every day of the week job. And it should be that way for all of us. And when you come in here, it should mean something. And you look at, the rules aren't that hard. And I'm tired of it. I mean, this has just gotten beyond ridiculous. This last 3 months of council has been more frustrating than my last 2 years put together. There is no reason the laws are not followed. There's just, I mean, like Monty said, we are all adults. You know, if any one of my kids did some of this stuff, oh, heaven help them. There's no excuse. You know, this isn't little playground stuff. We are dealing with taxpayer money when we are in here. We are dealing with the citizens of this city who put their trust in us. And when they see this stuff going on, why should they? It's time, everybody, because I'm not going to point fingers, because everybody is capable of making a mistake. But some of these mistakes are just ridiculous. Everybody needs to start coming in here 100% prepared, 100%. If you got to keep a copy of the sunshine laws in your desk, then do it. If you got to do or take notes, what's the most important sunshine law? You know, what's the most important Robert's Rule law? If you got to keep those in your desk, keep them in your desk. But under no circumstances should any one of these laws be broken after tonight. We've got too many things coming up to have to worry about this stuff. And we've got citizens who are depending on us. And we can't be worrying about economic development and city hall and everything else when we have to deal with this stuff. And that's not fair to the citizens who voted us in. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay.
Over the past several months, it has become increasingly clear that some individuals are approaching their elected positions through the lens of party politics and personal ambition rather than public service. Local government is not the place for partisan agendas or personal advancement. Our responsibility is to the people of the city, period. If your primary motivation for serving is political party loyalty or personal aspiration rather than the well-being of our community, I would respectfully ask you to reconsider whether this role is the right place for you. Our city needs public servants, not politicians. I do not care whether someone is red or blue. The only color our city needs is purple. We succeed when we work together, focus on solutions, and put the community ahead of ourselves. To our residents, local government works best when citizens are informed, engaged, and involved. Our community deserves thoughtful participation, not just during elections, but throughout the year. I encourage everyone to take part in civic engagement, attend meetings, ask questions, learn about the issues affecting our city, and take time to understand the candidates and politics before casting a vote, policies before casting a vote. Voting is one of the most important responsibilities we have as citizens, and it deserves more consideration than simply choosing based on the letter next to someone's name. Our community is strongest when our voters look at character, commitment to service, and the willingness to work together for the good of our city. Barberton's future depends on all of us being engaged, informed, and focused on what truly matters, the well-being of our community. Thank you.
Do we have anything else?
Yep.
Go for it.
I don't know what the rules are on the seating arrangement, but if I'm going to keep getting pointed with these two and nefarious things, I'd like to look at the seating arrangement.
Jesus Christ. You can't even sit down?
No. No. What was said last week? I
don't
was
even
not
know.
involved with it.
I don't even know. I don't even remember. You're sitting by 1, 2, and, you know.
I encourage council to just take a breath and focus on what needs to be changed. But I don't know, we've got work to do on that, right? So let's do that work.
Thanks, Lisa. We take a 10-minute break.
I'm sure we
We have to
make, Mr. President, I just have to adjourn.
Oh, you're not, okay. So I have to get carried away here.
We
Okay.
have a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Wait,
Oh,
Mrs. Iceman.
Yeah,
All right. Okay.
Did you get in your packet? I just want to know that everyone did receive the advertisement for council clerk?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna proceed with that unless someone lets me know they want something changed. If we don't receive enough applicants by that time frame, we can always just extend it as well. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We adjourn at 7:31. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Poorman. We'll now take a 10-minute break before we start our next meeting.
You go up, I go down. Yeah, me too. Okay. Yeah. I'll share. Wait, I didn't find, I might. But I'm never open anymore. Yes, it is. But good job.
Oh, there you go, there you go.
Yeah.
think I'm just gonna burn all the cards.
I know. Oh, no, I guess I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Who did that? 'Cause
No, I did it for the presidential election. That was fun. 4 years ago. For the day, yes, it was a very long day, yeah. So, longer than that. That's true. Yeah, we can't leave and, yeah, and we can't leave until all the votes are counted and stuff, so. No. Sorry. Okay, I'll go up there.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
The microphones are all on.
She should have turned them off.
No, it's next Tuesday. I'm now,
She usually turns them off in between. Did she? Right. Yeah.
I know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I said pilot. Right, I want to hire, right, yeah.
So tired. So tired of everything except for the frickin' city. So tired of talking about everyone in this building.
Hey, Brian,
I'm done.
everything's off? Microphone's off?
I can hear it. They deserve to hear it. No. I've taken many breaths.
Listen, I believe it all, I just don't remember everything.
Neither do I. I gotta look at my calendar.
I did. I know, I have an extra one and I really don't want to go back.
I love the binder. If you got extras, I might take them.
Pop down. Just checking. Throw it at you later.
Yeah. I was trying to bottom with my packet. You need the motion.
I actually,
Or did you write it all down?
I wrote it all down, but this is, this and the recording are what make the minutes of your meetings. So that's why we have them.
There you go, Lord. There's nothing on it.
I know.
Should we put you in a bubble?
You know, bubble wrap, so I can pop it when I'm bored.
Like the commercial with the guy that pulls up in the car with his car's bubble
Just
wrap?
give me 2 seconds so I can run to the restroom.
Yep. Got it.
Lord. The microphones are on.
I never used to have to turn them on. I have a note for you too.
Does their microphones actually amplify us to you guys? Or is it?
Sometimes. If you're close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do all the black.
But yeah, I think it's still on in YouTube. News, what she's
We never had to turn it off before, and then when all that went hooey, now it's all new settings. So I apologize, I'm still trying to get used to it, and it's different. Every time I pull it up, it's different. So the only thing I can think of is somebody has, what's this for?
I genuinely didn't realize that they like amplified us. I thought it was just to pick up for you.
Oh no, they come out, the round speakers behind you, they come out there.
Oh, I didn't know.
That's actually what I pick up on the recording, because it doesn't pick up on the
I just
thing.
thought these, like, I don't know what it was.
I wish they did, and they're supposed to, and that's the goal. That is the goal.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember.
I always used to write that on, and I forgot to write it on yours. Huh?
I said, whether I remember that.
It's neon. It's neon yellow, guys.
Ready? We're gonna start here in about 5 seconds or so.
You ready?
Yes, we're ready.
We are live.
Okay, this is a regular legislative meeting of the Barberton City Council. This is Monday, March 23rd. The time is 7:42. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by Ms. Gerhard. No, please by me and Ms. Gerhard for the invocation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Galatians 6, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people. God, thank you for your instructions through your word. Thank you for the gifts, experience, and talents you've given each person that they can use to serve one another with. Let our hope be in you, so that we may renew our strength, and let us not grow weary. Let us be good stewards of our money and resources. Please bless and grow our funds so that we can better care for our residents. I pray for wisdom for our city leaders, for your protection over our directors, employees, and safety forces. Please bless our citizens and please protect our troops. In your mighty name, amen.
Amen. Clerk, please call the roll.
President Griffin.
Here.
Mr. Stoll.
Here.
Mrs. Miller.
Here,
Mrs. Hager.
Here.
Mr. Foreman.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Present.
Mrs. Beck.
Here.
Ms. Gerhart.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Approval of the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, March 9th as presented. Can I have a motion to approve? Mr. Stoll.
Yes, Mr. President, I move for the approval of the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, March 9th, 2026, as presented.
Can I have a second?
I second that motion.
It was moved by Mr. Stoll and second by Mrs. Miller to approve the minutes of the regular legislative meeting, which was held on Monday, March 9th, 2026, as presented. Are there any remarks? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are adopted. Acceptance of the Finance Department report for the month of February 2026 as presented. Can I have a motion to accept? Mr. Foreman.
I make that motion. Just
Can I have a second? Mr. Stoll?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you. Excuse me. It was moved by Mr. Foreman and second by Mr. Stoll to accept the finance report for the month of February 2026 as presented. Are there any remarks? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The March finance report is accepted. Petitions and claims.
There are none.
Matters requested.
They've all been emailed and are in the packets.
Citizens addressing council.
I saw no one.
Thank you. Consent agenda ordinances and resolutions.
Ordinance number 38-2026, presented by Mrs. Beck. Title, enter into contract Butcher and Sons. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into contract with Butcher and Sons for the 2026 residential demolition program and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 39-2026, presented by Mr. Harris. Title, amending Barberton Codified Ordinances, Chapter 1604, Ohio and National Fire Codes. An ordinance amending Barberton Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1604, titled Ohio and National Fire Codes, to reflect an update in the inspection fee schedule, updated wording, and Section 1604.15 and the addition of section 1604.19, fire department specialty fees, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 40-2026, presented by Mr. Poorman. Title, amending ordinance number 10-2023, Barberton Residential Services Relief Program. An ordinance amending ordinance number 10-2023 by amending section 2B, section 2C, removing the income threshold and adding new wording and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 41-2026, presented by Mr. Stoll. Title, enter into contract Utilities Department, Verdantis LLC. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional engineering services contract with Verdantis LLC for the Water Pollution Control Center's no feasible NFA improvement project in an amount not to exceed $685,000 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 42-2026, presented by Mr. Poorman. Title, authorized payment, Retzel and Andrus. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to pay an invoice to Retzel and Andrus in the amount of $12,618.50 for legal services rendered and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 43-2026, presented by Mrs. Beck. Title, enter into contract Next Nature, environmental Harder Park renovation. An ordinance authorizing the city of Barberton to enter into contract with Next Nature Environmental to design and implement the upcoming Harder Park renovation project using the city's Community Development Block Grant CDBG fund, allocating $125,000 and declaring an emergency. Resolution number 44-2026, presented by Mr. Poorman. Title, City of Barberton 135th Anniversary, 250th Anniversary of the United States. A resolution of the Council of the City of Barberton commemorating the 135th anniversary of Ohio Columbus Barbers filing of an incorporation documents on March 23rd, which is tonight, 1691, and celebrating Founders Day, which was proclaimed as March 23rd, and declaring an emergency. This ends the consent agenda.
Motion to suspend, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Mr. Stoll.
I second that motion.
A motion was made by Ms. Gerhart, second by Mr. Stoll, to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Poorman?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Motion to adopt, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the 6 ordinances and 1 resolution on the consent agenda.
Mr. Stoll.
I second that motion.
A motion was made by Ms. Gerhart, second by Mr. Stoll, to adopt the ordinances listed on the consent agenda. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Poorman?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Legislation adopted. First reading of ordinances and resolutions.
The first reading we have tonight is ordinance 45-2026, presented by Mr. Poorman. Title, Michael Lemley Compensation. An ordinance authorizing the city of Barberton to place Michael Lemley, General Foreman Utilities, in the distribution and collection department at pay grade 6, step 9, and declaring an emergency. It's not on your agenda, short of the one we did.
Right. We have to, motion to adopt, right? Suspend.
Motion to adopt only.
Motion to adopt. Mr. Corbin?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of ordinance.
Wait,
or
do the suspension.
suspension.
Gotta do the suspension.
I'm on the wrong one. Yeah, do the
Oh, okay.
suspension. That's my fault. I was,
Okay.
it's not on anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. No.
All right, we're gonna
Okay.
do the suspension first and then,
Yeah.
I apologize.
Thank you, Lori. Motion to suspend. Mr. Foreman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule as required by section 1.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Point of order, it's 5.10.
Oh, excuse me, 5.10 of the Barberton Charter to be suspended.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Stoll. A motion was made by Mr. Foreman and second by Mr. Stoll to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
A motion to adopt. Mr. Foreman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of, what was the ordinance, or
45,
45?
2026.
45-2026.
A second.
I second that motion.
A motion was made by Mr. Foreman and second by Mr. Stoll to adopt ordinance number, ordinance listed on the, no, that was on the.
45.
45. Dash 45-2026. Clerk, please call a roll on adoption.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Where are we at?
And that ended the first reading.
Second readings of ordinance and resolutions.
Resolution number 33-2026, presented by Mr. Moore. Title, Loss of Confidence, Parks and Recreation Commission. A resolution expressing a loss of confidence in the City of Barberton Parks and Recreation Commission and declaring an emergency. This is the second reading. The first reading was on Monday, March 9th, and the third reading will be on Monday, April 13th. Resolution number 34-2026, presented by Mr. Moore. Title, Loss of Confidence, Parks Commission Chair. A resolution expressing a loss of confidence in the mayor's decision to not adhere to the recommendations of Human Resources to remove the chair of the City of Barberton Parks and Recreation Commission and declaring an emergency. This is the second reading. The first reading was on Monday, March 9th, and the third and final reading will be on Monday, April 13th. This ends the second readings.
Appointments.
Third.
Third readings.
Third readings of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 24-2026, presented by Mr. Foreman. Title, 2026 Operating and Capital Budget. An ordinance adopting a budget for the various funds of the City of Barberton for the period beginning January 1st, 2026, and providing for the administration thereof and declaring an emergency. This is the third and final reading. The first reading was on Monday, February 23rd, 2023. The second reading was on Monday, March 9th, 2026.
Appointments.
Nope, we need to vote on the budget.
Oh, we gotta vote, oh, that's right, yeah. We had some questions for the budget. Point of order. Do we have any? That's all?
I have none.
You have none? Okay.
I need a motion to vote.
I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Nope.
No.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call then, oh, yeah.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Motion passes. This ended the third reading.
The appointments,
We have none.
miscellaneous and unfinished business. As you know, our clerk has turned in her notice. With your packet this evening, you are given a job description and a copy of the ad that will run. The deadline for application is April 10th. Do we have any comments? Anybody want to add or take away from that? Communications from the body? Yes, Mr. Sirleaf.
I just wanted to take a moment to point out to everybody, so the chair for BZBA is unavailable to be there on the 21st. So the meeting, we actually rescheduled it to the 22nd. So April 22nd, it is a Wednesday, will be the BZBA meeting in April.
Thank you, Todd. Mayor's report?
Thank you, Mr. President. First, Change for Change this Friday at the Civitan benefiting Backham. This Saturday is Remembering the Magic at the schools. This is remembering the 1976 state basketball championship, 50 years in the making here. The team and legendary coach Jack Reynolds. So it's a free event at the schools from 2 to 5. Now that the budget has passed, we'll be moving forward with a lot of our projects and programs. If you have any questions moving forward with any of the budgets or the funds, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we'll keep moving forward. That's all I have. Any questions? All right, thank you.
With nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Mr. Stoll?
Yes, I move to adjourn.
Mrs. Miller?
I second that motion.
It was moved by Mr. Stoll and second by Mrs. Miller that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:01. And next Monday,